All right. So, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So let's dive straight in. In the last, how many of you have practiced what we did in the last class? The last class we went over the first room. Some of you had already done it. So apart from those of you that have done the first room before we went over it, how many of you could practice it? How many of you could practice what we did in the last class? How many of you could practice what we did in the last class? Let me know how we make progress.
We can hear you.
Ekimini, you had already done yours now.
Yes, I mean that defensive security intro part.
Okay. So the rest of you, I need feedback. Moses Ojo, you're always on the class, but you never speak. If you're able, you've not said anything today. What's going on now? Olubisi. None of you practiced it.
I practiced it. I'm even done with both offensive and defensive
Okay.
introduction.
Yeah, through the introduction.
Yes.
Is that what you said? Okay. All right. I'm here to drop that video, but after this class, or I will just drop it soon so that you guys can use it to practice before the next class. So let me share my screen quickly. Let's make progress. Okay. Okay, so the next room is the defensive security intro. Let's see. Okay, this room is a lot of theories. That's not what we want to do. We need to have our hands on practicals, right? Okay, they did a sim to here on the concept of a flag. That's quite important for you that for those of you that are working in the defense side of things, if you're going to be working as a cybersecurity analyst, right? And you're just entering the company. Most are saying ranking. A lot of what you'll be doing is to rank alerts, right? Because there are a lot of you'll be using automated systems. Okay, Lawrence, yeah. So you're using automated system to do most of the things you're going to be doing. What I'm saying is there are tools, right, that the company will pay for that will automatically detect attempt on intrusion. They will automatically detect it when people are trying to break in, right? So since there is that automatic detection, this thing is disturbing. Since there will be that automatic detection, your work will then be to find out of those automatic detections, right? Which one is important to the company? Which of them is actually a threat, right? Because there's something called false positives, where the systems that are programmed to detect when there's an attempt to intrude into the company. This system will just so that they are company. Then if you're going to be working as a cybersecurity analyst, your work would be to then to automatically pick by the machine by system. And then,
Yeah, I can hear you.
all right. Lawrence, can you hear me now? Oh, no, let's make progress. Okay, all right. So there are going to be you want to find out which of this is actually a threat. And then when you've been able to find out the ones that, okay, yes, this, and this, for example, are actually threats to our company, the next thing you'll be trying to figure out is out of these ones that are a threat, which of these threats is most urgent? Which of them do I have to attend to first out of all of them? All right. So, for instance, it's like in a hospital, so many people come to the hospital every day, right? And everybody believes that their case is an emergency. Someone you can literally be attending to somebody that is dying, bleeding, and somebody else will walk in with headache and say, "Ah, you should come and attend to me. I've been here since for the past 25 minutes. You will not attend to me. People want someone to die." And they are seeing that the nurses are engaged trying to save someone's life, literally. But to them, that their headache is just as urgent as the person that is bleeding to death. All right. So it is the job of the nurse, for instance, in that scenario, to then look at it. The professional, that health professional, is his job to look at the cases and know that, okay, let's assume both of them are emergencies, right? Even if they are both emergencies, which of these two is most urgent? And that is the one they will attend to first. All right. So that is the same thing in cybersecurity. As the technical professional, your job is to find out, look at it and say, there are so many alerts. Which of these is actually an emergency? And out of all of them that are emergencies or that can consider an emergency, which of them is most urgent? So that in cybersecurity, what we call that is triaging. Triaging is like, of a sense, what it means is trying to put things in a hierarchy, setting that, okay, this is the most important, then this, then this, then this. So you are going to attend to them in that manner, in that order rather. You start with the most important one, and then you make progress down the line. Do you understand?
Yes, I'm getting it.
Yes.
Do you understand so far? Okay, all right. So, okay. So if you look at in your defensive security,
Wait, but sorry, does this also apply to offensive security?
if you look at this part here now, they talk about simulating this SIEM, SIEM, is pronounced SIEM, not CM, all right? So this SIEM tool now is the main tool that I want to. No, this is all right. So the for those of you who go into security, it's important to know about the SIEM tools because these are the people you are trying to. No, they're not right. Okay, I know what the tools that the companies are. So you know the companies are using, then you know how to go against them, right? So basically, that's the ideology. It's a good idea to understand how it works so that you know how you can bypass that detection. All right. So someone already commented the meaning of SIM tools in the class security information and event management. Now, okay, let me just highlight it. Highlight it here. Okay, if you just click on the SIM on your try hack me page, you will see it there. They wrote it out security information and event management. So what do they mean by this big word, security information and event management? So the SIM tool is a tool that gives you information regarding security. So that's what I mean by security information. The tool gives you information, right, about the security of the company. The information about the security of your network, monitor your system. Those places will send data, they will send all the information that they gather back to the SIM tool. And then in your SIM tool dashboard, you'll be able to see everything that is happening in your company as regarding the security. So everything that has to do with the security information of that company will be in one dashboard, which is your SIM dashboard. That's what they mean by this security information. So let's explain the second half, which is event management. Now, in cybersecurity, when we say something, when something occurs, in cybersecurity, they will call it an event. All right. Now, assuming somebody now this one events are not necessarily bad things in cybersecurity. They're not necessarily- Assuming a staff of the company is trying to log in to their account and they're unable to log in for some reason. Maybe they forgot their password, they forgot it. So they had to try, let's say, 3 times. They were, in other words, there were multiple attempts to log into an account. The SIM tool is going to pick it as an event. Why? Because they seem to believe that that is important information that should be documented. So why is it an important information? Because me forgetting my password to my account means that I'm going to have to try multiple times to log in, right? But it could also be a hacker trying to brute force his way into my account. Because if a hacker comes and he doesn't know exactly what my password is, he will try multiple times. True or false?
Hmm.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he will try multiple times to log into my account. So because of that, multiple login attempts can be a positive thing, not necessarily positive, but let's use what a harmless thing or a harmful thing. So if it is a staff of the company that forgot his password, or a user, one of the users of the company forgot his password, then automatically the multiple login attempts is a harmless thing. But if it was a hacker that is trying to break into that account and when the hacker is trying multiple times, then that becomes a harmful thing. So whether it is harmful or it is harmless, we categorize the two as events. All right. So when they say a SIM tool is an event management tool, they're telling you that you use it to manage all the events that's going on in the workspace. All right. So the events we're talking about here now are security events. There are things that could be harmful or the things that could be harmless. As long as it's something that a cybersecurity analyst should pay attention to, then we call it an event. So I believe that is quite clear. So now we're going to move and see what the experience is like using a SIM tool. All right. So as you can see here, they talked about how that if there are connections from an unknown IP address, then it could mean that somebody is trying to connect, right? Somebody new is trying to connect, or somebody in the system, in the company, for instance, is trying to connect using an unauthorized access. Meaning, let's assume, let's assume as the company, we set all the IP addresses of all the computers that belong to our staff. We document all of them so that if any of them wants to connect, we know who is connecting to our network, right? And then somebody brings his own device to the office and is trying to connect to our network, he's trying to connect to our hotspot. Automatically, we will notice that this IP address is not familiar, right? So since the IP address is not familiar, it's probably somebody new is trying to log in, or somebody that works with us is trying to log in with an unfamiliar device. And that is very important for security. Well, some of you now might be wondering what is IP address. So who can tell us what's an IP address? In simple terms, all right, just explain it in simple terms for us. What an IP address is.
IP address is what you identify as when you are online. It's like your name, like the way your name is what you are online.
Like your name. Hmm. Who else can give it a shot? Who else can explain what an IP address is? Because a lot of people talk about IP
An
address
IP
a lot,
address
like, oh,
is a set of numbers used as a way of identifying a host on a network for a period of time.
okay. Okay. What do you mean by a host on a network?
A computer. The identities of different computers in a network.
Lawrence, Lawrence, what do you mean by a host on a network?
The identities of different computers on a network.
That is online, right? So, like set of numbers, basically it's for identification. Computer, yeah. See, there are lots of computers. I mean, so many people have a computer, right? You have a computer. You have a phone, because it's not just laptops and desktops we're talking about when we say computers. Yeah, Lawrence, we heard you. So it's like, since there are so many details that are going to be online, right? We should be able to identify them. So let's give them something we can use to identify them. So an IP address is using a number, giving a number to each team. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So
Hear
sorry for the
you.
interruption. Sorry for the interruption. Is the network. All right. So now that we've gone over what a SIM tool is, right? Let me see if there's anything missing before we start the practical session. So the introduction to defensive security, they touched on several terminologies that are quite important. They talked about Security Operations Center, SOC. They talked about threat intelligence. They talked about digital forensics and incident response, and then they talked about malware analysis. I doubt that we'll be able to cover most of these in this beginner class, this elementary class for you guys. Well, we'll definitely be able to touch on them probably in the next elementary class that we'll be having. So that will be a bit more intermediate, but certainly in the master class, we're going to touch on that. So let's just run over it because these are things that the more you practice with them, with the tools relating to them, the more you understand what they are about. All right, but let's just run over the concepts first. So the Security Operations Center is more like the team. It's more or less the team. Remember, like I said, is I'm giving an oversimplified answer. Well, okay, that's exactly how you put it here. It's a team of the cybersecurity professionals that monitors the network. So when you just join a company as a cybersecurity analyst, right? You're going to be working with the Security Operations Center. You're going to be working with a team of other cybersecurity professionals, and that team is what they refer to as the Security Operations Center. So basically, that is just the name of the team, all right? And in that team, there are hierarchies. There's hierarchy. When you just enter, you are the analyst one, you are the cybersecurity analyst one, which is a level of cybersecurity analysts. Those you guys are the ones that pay attention to any alert that comes up on the computer, and then you report to analyst two. The analyst two is people that I'm talking about. This is an ideal organization, a big organization, right? You report to the analyst two. The analyst two are the ones that will look at it and say, okay, from these reports that you brought to them about what is important from those alerts, they'll look at it and then they will resolve it. And if they're unable to resolve it, then they'll report to the person that's above them, right? That which usually that is the SOC manager. Then the SOC manager, if he's he does what he can to also resolve the issue. If he cannot, then he would report. Then, right? Am I missing it? No, I don't think I am. From the SOC manager, I believe everything should be resolved there and then. Whatever they cannot resolve will be documented as well, and then they will report to the stakeholders in the company, which involves the owner of the company, the board of directors. They'll just make a non-technical presentation. So basically, that's where reporting comes in. They'll create slides and use language that everybody, the regular man, can understand to explain what is happening in the security aspect of the company. All right, so then they explain to them and they tell them this is the way forward, this is what we should do. For the risks that we could not prevent, probably we should consider getting a security consultant to come and attend to that. You understand? So that's what happens in the SOC team. It's just the team. All right, the more you practice, the more you get familiar with it. Okay, so then they talk about threat intelligence. So threat intelligence is the intelligence. They say intelligence here refers to information that you gather about your actual or your potential enemies. Different companies have different adversaries. All right. Some of the adversaries, I want to talk about adversary. If you're a Bible student, you understand that your adversary is your enemy, right? So some of the adversaries of companies might even be a country. A country could be trying to attack a company. And why will a country be trying to attack a company? I mean, what did the company do to them? Right? So, I'll give an instance. In the news the other day, this was probably last week, I saw that they made the owner of ChatGPT, the Sam Altman, right, the CEO of ChatGPT, he was made a general in the US Army. Why do you think the US would want to make him a general in the army? He's not a military person. Why would they want to make him a general in the army? Who can answer that question?
So that he won't be able to spy on the military for his personal gain.
So that he won't spy on the military for his personal gain. Okay, who else can?
Because if he's in the military, he's already bounded by two laws, both the military and the civil law, and he won't be as free as So they will be able to check his activities frequently.
Okay. You know, okay, who else? Let's say from someone else, who else can give us a reason why they would want to make? That's a good answer, a good response, by the way. Who else can give us what they think would be the reason why a company would make the CEO of ChatGPT? Sorry, the government, US government will make the CEO of ChatGPT a general in the army. Who can try? They came in here raising your hand again. God,
Yes.
God, do you want to say something?
So that it can support the army with the use of AI.
Yes. Yes, that's another good answer from Moses Ojo. God's Day, Davidson, you want to say something?
I was also of the opinion that so that they can make use of his intelligence and also his artificial intelligence in the military to help them be able to advance more than they are currently and also to continue remaining the world. I just
Yes.
think
Yes, I like that word you used there, intelligence. Now, in security, when we say intelligence, what we're talking about is what we're actually talking about is information. All right. In security, so when we say to use his intelligence to help the army, is we're talking about using information they've gotten. Your information and my information, right? So when a community, for instance, talked about someone, Emmanuel, you're raising your hand. Let's hear from you.
Yes, I think it's about cyber to oversee cyber security and
Oh,
maybe help
so
draft
to
maybe
oversee
help draft
the security
recommendations.
operation.
Yes, maybe help them in recommendation on security measures.
Okay, that also makes sense too. That makes sense too. Okay, so all the points you guys have given are valid. Ekim, you have something else to say?
Yes. And because the US now are really surrounded with too much of enemies, they can also use him as to coordinate attacks also s- on other nations and to cause sabotage on their systems.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one because
Like what North Korea did to Sony.
okay, goodness, you want to say something?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is I don't know actually what the obvious reason is, but I feel if the government needed the services of a civilian as intelligent as Otman, they could simply have hired him as a private consultant
Mhm.
instead of making him a general in the
The
army.
army. Okay,
So I don't actually know what the obvious reason would be, but I feel if they needed the services of a citizen, they will hire them as private consultants.
okay. Um, is someone else raising their hand? Let me see. Okay, goodness, you want to speak again? All right. Ekim, you have something to say?
Yes, in reply to what he said concerning hiring as the consultant,
Private consultant.
hiring him doesn't mean like it means that he still has some certain amount of freedom. This one now they can cage him into a particular point. And having access to something as powerful as AI, you can't just pick someone like that and just say, okay, we just for him to be the owner of AI and they'll make him a general, mean that they can actually check his activities. The general is not actually that free because the general does not mean it's fully free from the government. So they can also check its activity. If you hire him as a consultant, he can still do other things. He can sell the information also. In the military, if you do that way, there are consequences.
Okay, so we've all made valid points, right? And none of us know for sure exactly why they hired, sorry, why he was made a general. But Ekemi is making some very serious points when he says that, you know, they are trying to get him committed, right? So if they just hire him as a consultant, then what stops other countries from also hiring him as a consultant? Do you understand? So at that point, he becomes I can more or less call him a grey hat, but not really, right? But he's positioned in such a way that he just has to help whoever gives him the most money, or whoever he feels is in his best interest, right? And now the main reason we all know why they want him is because, apart from the fact that AI is a powerful tool, is because he has your data, he has my data. Like literally, you can find is worse than your Google history. Your ChatGPT history is worse than your Google history. You can literally see everything about an individual. I say, even if you delete it, of course, you know they have servers. ChatGPT has their servers, and these things are saved there at least for a while before they are overwritten on. All right. So people in the army abroad might even be using ChatGPT. Your Nigerian army are using ChatGPT. Other countries will use ChatGPT, right? To ask questions, to do, they can collect those data and know how to strategize. So now, Google, if you, I told you guys to watch the Hacking Google series. I know what I said when I told you to watch that series. So Google is a prime target for hackers. One would think that a company as big as Google, people should not waste their time in trying to hack Google. But you will be surprised that Google is more, in fact, some people, once they just learn the first skill they learned, maybe they just learned how to use uh, Metasploit. Straight is Google they want to go and attack. They want to just, it's straight to Google, no time to waste. So Google is a main target for hackers, right? But now I want to ask, why would countries want to target Google? Why would they want to make Google as a company? Google is a company. Google not doing Google not do anything to them. Why would they want to target a country? Why would a country want to target Google for an attack? In cybersecurity, when we talk about a country like this, we usually refer to them as nation states. All right. So why would a nation state want to attack Google? Who can tell us?
I think because Google has every single data, like when I mean every data, like it actually even knows up to your location, just like the same way Google location is. Google location is not just there, like realizing that anything Google gives you that is free is literally not free because they are getting something back from you. Most especially your Google location, if you leave your location on, location knows exactly where you are, most especially the spot you are. That is why from your location, Google can recommend different kind of things around your area for you because your location is on and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So, so
yeah.
Google knowing exactly where you are and exactly the point you are, not even just being precise, but being accurate. So they can, anybody that is able to help Google, I think that is the really first in their mind to be able to follow up people.
All right. So you made a valid point. There's someone in the comment section, Tolani, said because they have more people's data. Lauren said because there are a lot of Google users who have their data on, and personal information on Google, which will be helpful to hackers. That's very correct. All right. Apart from people, because we're thinking about people, the fact that people's information is there, but the information of governments are also there too, right? Even the information of banks. You know, remember I talked about how people use the deep web to collect, to save information. We talked about that in the last class, right? So some of this information can be accessed on Google, and that's one of the reasons why they are prime targets even for nation states. So moving on, let's talk about digital forensics and incident response. The practical session will be the last part of this class because once we start the machine, you know there's a count, there's a timer. I showed you guys yesterday, right? So let's talk about digital forensics and incident response. If you watch movies before, you must have come across this word forensics, especially if you watch movies that have to do with investigation. Investigation, all right. So as you can see here, forensics is all about investigating crime. Look at it here. It's all about investigating crime so that you can now get facts from the crime. So when we talk about digital forensics, then we're talking about investigating crime that happened online or on a system. Digital forensics is all about investigating crime that took place online or on a system. So as you can see here, there are tools. We have different tools for digital forensics. All right, we'll go over some of the tools in our practical sessions. Right, there are tools. There are specific tools that you use to search a file system. If you are trying to now, if you take your system and you delete everything, right, and the law enforcement lay their hands on your system, they'll be able to recover most of the information that you deleted, even if you deleted it from the recycle bin. Right. So there are tools for proper erasing. Like CC Cleaner is one of those tools that you can use to properly erase your system, so that even if somebody comes and they want to use other tools to try and recover those things you deleted, they won't be able to get them. CC Cleaner is like one of the main tools used for that. All right. So there's system memory. There are tools we use to CC Cleaner also cleans your system memory, but there are tools that okay now you know that if I'm trying to remember a particular story. I remember the story, but I'm trying to remember who exactly he was. I think he was running one of the major web pages on the dark web, right? He was running one of the major web pages on the dark web, and it was being used for selling of illegal things like drugs, guns, and all of that. So one day he was in a cafe, not a cyber cafe, a cafe where you buy tea and coffee, right? Tea or coffee. So he was in a cafe and he was using their public Wi-Fi to browse the internet and commit, his mischievous activities. And then the FBI came in. When they came in, he was trying to quickly shut down his system. But before he could shut it down, they grabbed him, they bundled him, and they took the system. Now, when they took the system like that, my camera is shaking because I'll carry my system to demonstrate. When they took the system, the first thing they did was to make sure that that system does not go off. I have 3 questions from my story. Number 1, who can tell me why was the hacker using a cafe's Wi-Fi to carry out that activity? Why was he not at home? Why was he in a cafe? Yeah, right. Number 2, why do you think the hacker was trying to quickly shut down the system? Is there any, if you shut down the system, can you not just on it and still find information about what he was doing? Right? Then number 3, when the FBI seized his laptop, why did they make sure the system did not go off? So if you cannot answer all 3 of the questions, answer anyone that you can answer.
For number 1, can I answer number 1?
Yeah.
So number 1, he was using the cafe's Wi-Fi, so in case they tracked the IP address, it would go to the cafe instead of his house.
Yes. I've seen that 2 people Lawrence and Ogaga have already said that in the comment section. That is so that he will not be able to trace him. Yeah. Yes. That's brilliant. Yes. So the next question. Okay, is it number 1 you just wanted to answer?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Nice. Well done.
Okay.
So who can answer number 2?
I'll answer number 2.
Number what?
Number 2.
Number 2. All right. Shoot.
Okay, he was trying to shut down his system, so they will not be able to detect the particular person that is carrying out that activity.
So that what?
They will not be able to detect the particular person that is carrying out that activity in the cafe.
Okay, so that they won't be able to. But they were already running towards him. Oh.
Oh,
Yes. Abdulaziz, now you are joining. Abdulaziz.
Sir, I didn't see the link earlier.
Abdulaziz.
And now, God, I beg you.
All right.
I've been waiting for it since 8. So when I didn't say, I thought class was good.
We dropped it. We dropped it around 8 before 8 o'clock, sir. Okay, Lawrence
Wow.
said something in the comment section. He said that if he shut down the system, automatically it will shut down the hacking program, and so his activities will not be able to be tracked. But if I open your system, like if you open your own system and you can easily see quick access or recent files now. It will show there now. So why was he trying to put off his system? How was the hacker trying to put off his system? Can anybody try before I give the answer?
Um, maybe he was using a tool that was kind of sensitive. That once you like switch off your system, everything just goes off at
Clear.
once.
Yes, exactly. Now, there's something we call persistence and non-persistence in cybersecurity. All right. If you are using a persistent operating system, what it means, for instance, if you are trying, let's say you want to install your Kali Linux and you want it to be persistent, or you want to install Tails. No, Tails is never persistent. But if you want to install Kali Linux and you want it to be persistent, when you install it, what it means, if you make it persistent, what it means is that if you turn off your system and you put it on back, the things you were doing the last time, traces of it can still be found on the system. To see the traces of everything you were doing will still be saved on the system. But if you put it that it should be non-persistent, the moment it shuts down, everything erases. All right. So apart from operating systems which can be persistent, malware can be persistent. I think this is the first time we're talking about malware. So malware, when we talk about malware is different from virus. Okay. Many of you, virus have attacked my computer, but it's different from malware. Malware is gotten from two words, all right? Malicious software. So a malware is a malicious software. Malware is a software that has malicious software. Malware. So it's two words: the mal from malicious, and then the ware from software. Put it together, malware is a software that has malicious intent. You know what I mean by malicious? It's like the intent that it has is different from what it might look like is the original intent. So it's like there's an underlying intent, there's ulterior motive, something like that. There's something that have ulterior motive. So for instance, at first, when they first created malware, it was for the purpose was to track softwares, like just help us track how many computers a software is installed on. That was actually why they first created, but then it went out of hand and started causing damage. Yeah, like a Trojan horse. So a Trojan horse is an example of a malware. A virus is an example of a malware. There are different types of malware. There's rootkit, there's worm, but we'll talk about that later. All right. So what he was trying to do when he was trying to turn off his computer was he was using an operating system that was non-persistent, which means if he turns off that computer, or if for any reason that computer goes off, gone, everything wiped. And as if you, for hackers, right, the operating system that is highly recommended for anonymity, meaning you don't want people to know what you are doing. It's best to use Tails operating system, not Kali Linux. All right, Kali Linux is if you want to do hacking, but Tails is if you don't want any trace of what you are doing. You can also use Tails for hacking, but it's primarily for anonymity. You don't want them to know, to be able to track anything you are doing. You use the Tails operating system. So as soon as you shut it down, everything wipes. Okay, and everything will also wipe from your system memory, which means let the things that you were doing that is not really on your hard drive is in the temporary memory of your computer. Everything to wipe everything. All right, that was why I was trying to put that off. Then your system logs. Now, when you're on your computer, we'll go deep into logs later on, but logs and logging. Who can tell me what is logs?
A log is
Moses.
a record of activities that you have been doing since you put on your system. Records of activity. That's log.
Yes, exactly. So by the time from yeah to learning, Sheung. So basically, once you turn on your computer starts to record everything that all the activities you are doing. It records it and it stores it in your log file, right? But there are certain tools that we are going to go over where we are going to actually work with logs and work with them very well. All right, because it's one of the, especially when it comes to handling malware, we are going to get familiar with using logs because a variable is every time that you used to come to class to come and soup. Are we? You're distracting the rest of us. What is so you repo? Okay, that was a terrible joke. Let's move on. So work with logs when it comes to, especially when it comes to handling. Okay, that was not a terrible joke, Abby. Anyway, people are laughing. Nice one. I'll consider stand up after I've made it in cybersecurity. Okay, so let's move on.
Hoping the
System
startup
log.
will not be malware.
Sorry, it came
So
in.
hoping the startup will not be malware.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly the reason why you work with logs. If you when you in malware analysis, because if a malware starts doing things, your computer can record those activities, and you'll be able to then trace it and know that I did not, I am not the one that did this thing. So it's either a hacker did it or a virus did it, a malware did it. So network logs is basically the logs. So system logs is the logs for your system, while network logs is the logs for your network. So while your computer is recording the things you do on your system as system logs, they're also recording the things that happen on your network as network logs. And we'll go into those ones in the practical session. So digital forensics and incident response. Incident response is all about responding to an incident. Okay. By the time we burst, something has happened, something has gone wrong in the organization. How do we respond? That is all about incident response. So as you can see here, there are four major phases of incident response process. Now, for those of you that want to work in a company, you might look at this like it's not important. Knowing this thing is not important. Probably it's just too much theory. My brother, my sister, this is highly important. It is, see, to even get your certificate, you need to know this thing. The four phases of the incident response process. All right, preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, post-incident activity. This is theory, right? So I recommend that you guys read it up later on. But it's simple. It's simple to understand, but you should be able to remember it if you want to take any cybersecurity exam. All right, where you're going to see it, I assure you, you're going to see it. A lot of people, their first attempt in the computer S exam, a lot of people flop it. They fail it because they feel like because they understand the concept, they will be able to pass the exam. No. That's not what it's about. You need to remember it. They need you to remember it exactly the way it is for you to pass the exam. Okay, because the concept is quite simple. First of all, you prepare for an incident before it happens, right? Prepare for it. Then you have tools that are going to detect it. Those and when those tools detect it, like the same tool we're going to be looking at very soon. The cybersecurity analyst will analyze the results of that thing so that they'll know how they're going to carry out containment, eradication, and recovery. So those are three big words. Containment means to eradicate. You know what eradicate means? Like eliminate what was causing that attack. How can we eradicate it? How can we eliminate it? And then recovery. How can we take things back to the way they were before the attack? That's the three things that happens after the analysis. Right? Then the post-incident activity means the activity that will happen after the incident, right? Is basically what the main thing that happens there is that you document a report about everything that happened and submit it to the stakeholders, the manager first. The manager then submits to the stakeholder, okay, right? To tell them, oh, look at what happened in the organization. We were under attack, and this is how we handled it. And then they will go over the lessons that they learned from that attack. If you've not watched the Hacking Google series, I you're missing out to you're missing out on a lot. All right. So here they talk about malware analysis. Malware stands for malicious software. Okay, we already talk about that. And the example they gave here, they talk about virus. They talk about Trojan horse. They talk about ransomware. Yeah, those are the three they talked about. Okay. So a virus is just code. It's just code that a programmer writes, right? And most times programmers, as cybersecurity analysts, you know, if you want to go into malware, like you really want to delve into malware and major there, it's like a full course on its own, right? But if that's what you want to do, then you definitely learn how to code the malware from scratch. You also learn what we call reverse engineering, which is if someone already codes a malware, you can look at it, understand how it works, and probably even disable it. All right, from the code, from the code. Not I'm not talking about using tools to prevent it from affecting your computer. I'm talking about you go through the code and you disable the malware. You understand? So a virus is just a code. That's a programmer. Somebody type code, and deploy the code so that the code can come and affect your computer and work on the computer as if a human being is working on it, doing things like altering files, which means changing it, right? All right, so sorry about that break in transmission. So I was asking who can tell us what a Trojan horse is. Many of us have heard of Trojan horse before. Who can tell us what a Trojan horse is? Can you guys hear me?
We
I can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I'm not hearing anybody. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? 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 Hello? So, now if those leaders would have bring dollars to the public. Yeah, so, you know, they will be that. Hello, hello.
All right. So sorry about that again. Uh, Time has really gone. I want to know from you guys that are online now. Should we continue the class now, or let's have a bonus class on Wednesday so that we can finish up and have our practical session? Those people that are online, you guys will be the one to decide this for us. So you can unmute yourself and vote, or you can just drop your vote in the chat box.
Bonus class on Wednesday.
Wednesday will be
Wednesday, right?
better. The network is getting worse.
Yeah, all right. About 5 people have said Wednesday already. Okay, 6 now. Yes. And we are currently 18 on the call. Okay. Time has gone. I will cover the lot so that, yeah, Wednesday. We don't start
So
having the
Wednesday,
background.
okay.
All right, Wednesday. Okay, so we'll have the class Wednesday by 8. All right. So the assignment I will give you now, go and find out what a Trojan horse is and what a ransomware is. All right. If you've not seen the Hacking Google series, please go and see it as well. So that by the time we come back in the, oh, yeah. Also read up, just you know what? Just read up. After reading that, read up on static and dynamic analysis. We'll see go over it on Wednesday. It's not difficult, okay? Then on Wednesday we would have this practical session. Thank you all for staying, Lawrence. Thank you all
Thank
for
you, sir.
staying
Good night, sir.
with us to the end. Yeah.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Abdulaziz. Amarachi. Good night, Emmanuel.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, sir.
Okay. Yeah, good night. Ogaga, let me type the assignment for you. All right, good night, everybody. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Okay, Wednesday, we'll have our next class. If everybody you don't want to go home. You don't want to call the call. First off, is now you're coming. Were you on this
I'm
call?
going home, sir. I'm going home, sir.
All right. Good night, sir.
Good evening, sir. Sorry, I had a very bad network. I'm trying to join since. Sorry for my late
Oh,
call,
okay.
please.
Well, we are done for today, but we fix another meeting for Wednesday. But today we didn't do anything practical, and I'm not okay with that. All right, so we fix the practical class will be Wednesday by 8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll still have our normal classes Friday, Saturday.
It's okay, sir. But this video will be available before then.
Yes,
The
definitely.
record.
This night.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good night.